The Zimmerman murder trial less than 2 weeks away now, and only on Fox it looks like George might take the stand, despite what went down in court on Tuesday. Zimmerman's attorney says that things are going pretty much as planned. And defense attorney Mark O'Mara joining us now. Mark, you had a bit of a setback yesterday. The evidence that you presented last Thursday, at least in opening statements, not going to be admissible. Does that change at all your tack in the next 2 weeks?
Oh, absolutely not. Our tact was never to go into that information in opening statements at all. And I'm glad the judge took my suggestion and restricted both the state and us from getting into extraneous information in openings. That only becomes relevant if we really need it, according to how the state plays their hand.
Now, the burden of proof obviously is on the prosecution. The problem they're going to have is between that 5 minutes when George Zimmerman was told by the 911 operator back off, and when the fight occurred or the shooting or whatever happened. I don't know that they've got a lot of witnesses to tell us what happened. That's got to work in your favor, correct?
The witnesses we have the injuries to George. We have someone screaming, and the jury will have to decide who that is, if the experts can help them or not. And then we have the one eyewitness who says that George is on the bottom getting pummeled, sort of MMA style. So that information is going to be out there. We don't have a videotape of everything. When one of the investigators said to George that they might have, George was elated. So I wish we did have a video of everything. Maybe we wouldn't be in this position.
You mentioned the screaming. That's going to come up in a hearing, I think next Friday, when whether or not that 911 tape gets played. How do you think that's going to play out?
Well, Thursday and Friday is going to be the hearing on what we call Fry. It's going to be a determination of whether or not the evidence, the expert evidence, is sufficient enough and helping the jury enough to be admissible. Unfortunately, I don't think it is, and that's why I filed the motion. That's up to the judge to decide, but there's certainly not going to be conclusive evidence one way or the other what was on that tape.
Yeah, everything I've heard, you get 10 people analyzing that 911 call. You get 10 different answers as to what was going on and what was being heard. That doubt has got to play in your favor, correct?
It does. This is the state's case. It is their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt that George did this, and he did it in a way that was an illegal act, not justifiable homicide. They actually have to disprove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. That's their burden. We're going to see if they get anywhere close to that.
You tweeted out today that the defense fund is almost depleted, under $5,000. Does that affect you moving forward?
Well, it does. There are experts that we can't hire. There are subpoenas we can't put out. There are transcripts we cannot get. That's just the harsh reality of not having any money. Unfortunately, that's all we can do. It's too late to seek indigency, so we just have to deal with what we can, and I guess still rely on the donations from those who have helped in the past.
Mark, I wasn't going to ask you this because I think I know your answer, which is going to be we'll play it by ear and we'll play it however it goes out, it spins out in the trial. But is this a case where you want George to testify or no?
I think I would like him to testify. I just have to play that dynamically with how the state presents their case. If they carry their burden, and I think it's worthwhile, I'll have that conversation with George. But right now, he's already given 5 statements. I think that's probably going to be enough for a jury, so we'll play it by ear.
Have you asked him about that?
I really try not to talk about what I discussed with George because that would open things up, and I can't do that.
You know, that's a very good lawyer answer right there.
Thank you. Try my best.
Mark O'Mara, always good to talk to you.
All right, take care now.